Wolof and even Mandinka as well, so that welcome to the show, Mariama. It's a pleasure to have you here in person, finally. Because of series of shows together.
Yeah.
But some shows, most of the time, they call it Makola, and then now you are here with us. Welcome to the show, Mari.
Thank you, Flex. It's my pleasure to be here. Like you said, for the viewers, for the listeners, my name is Mariam, without the A. It's Mariam JCC, and I work with WAVE Gambia, which is Women Association for Women and Victims Empowerment, which is clearly different from the WAVE Money. And I work there as a programs coordinator, and we'll be having a very interesting conversation today in relation to some of our programs and activity and some of the work we do in the Gambia.
Okay, fantastic. And of course, and the big guest which we have, in fact, some of the things that we've been talking about in the last few weeks has been relating to them. So it's good that they are here with us. Big guest because we have to write our letter, and then we have to go through the procedure, and then finally the letter was approved. And then now we want to even write a letter of thank you to the IGP. But before we go there, when it comes to police, you have to observe seniority. So please, who should I introduce first? Sir. Mr. Kintin, I want to know you. You are the senior man here.
Yes.
Welcome to the show, sir. Welcome to the program. It is a big honor to have you with us. And also, we know the work which you've been doing on the post-transitional justice project. We'll talk about those things. Welcome to the show. Please, if you can just kindly introduce yourself to our followers.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Good afternoon to our beautiful listeners out there. I am Commissioner of Police for Human Rights and Professional Standard Unit of the Gambia Police Force, headquarters by
Fantastic. I think we'll have to check the mic. Maybe I'll get my technical team. Please get in touch. Call the technical team in here. I need them. Because I want to make sure that you people, everybody can hear what you are saying very well. And I am not satisfied. I'm looking at the information which is showing me. When you are talking, maybe some things are not going out. But we will try and fix that. And we also have another very big guest here with us on the studio. Welcome to the show. He's also from the police. We have two representatives from the police today. Please, we have another guest. I'll let him introduce himself. Please, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Telu. And then good afternoon to our listeners. Good afternoon to WAVE Mariam. And all the other colleagues. My name's Musa Kamara, Superintendent of Police, Officer Commanding the Human Rights and Professional Standards Unit.
Wow.
Thank you.
We are talking to the right people. Did you hear that? The Officer Commanding the Human Rights and Professional Standards Unit. It's a big, very important unit. Even me, myself, I have had my personal interaction with that unit when I think Jawara was the one there. In fact, there was an issue which happened. They play a very important role, right? And I want to encourage the public to engage with the unit. When you see any human rights violation, sometimes police may be the ones who are in the forefront of that, or that have done X or Y and Z. Sometimes people are not aware about this, but there is a unit there. And me, I tested that unit, and the unit did a very good job. I don't want to delve too much to distract, but I want to tell people that certainly if you test that unit, when Jawara was there, a result came out, and I am very confident in Mr. Kamara. I have been engaging with him for a while now, so I am even more confident that I'm sure now that Kamara is there. From Jawara to Kamara, things will maybe move up. Not so, Mr. Kamara.
So.
Fantastic. So, WAVE is who has brought this program. We're going to talk about WAVE, the activities that they have been doing, in particular, the ones that they have been doing with the police. Last week, they had a training on torture and prevention of torture, UPCAT, with the police. And they had 2 batches. They had 2 batches who graduated or were given certificates for this 2-day training, each of them. It was 4 days running. They had 2 different batches that they trained. And these 2 different batches, they trained them and they were given their certificates at the end. And the training was about torture, about how to prevent torture and the UPCAT. We have Mariama here. I'll just talk to her and get her take on their activities that they are doing with police, and even maybe start telling us what they have going forward. Is this the last? You know, I know it's not easy that you probably managed to get these funds together to be able to do the training, but tell us about the training. And also, I know people will want to know whether is this the last? What else do you have going on? Tell us about your engagement with your activities with the police, please.
All right, good evening once again, listeners. My name is Mariam, and thank you so much for the question, Flex. So part of this activity, this is part of the brother, because this month, which is June, it's the June 26th, is the commemoration of the International Day in support of victims of torture. And the work WAVE has done in the communities when it comes to torture since 2022 has been a lot in terms of how we contributed to the enactment of the anti-torture when it was a bill to become an act in Parliament, bringing parliamentarians to their constituency to understand the impact of torture in the lives of victims and to see how this has actually affected them, which actually contributed to a bigger picture of the act when it was enacted in 2023 April. So those activities that was actually done last week was in partnership with the Human Rights and Professional Standard Unit under the Gambian Police Force, and understanding the role that this unit, I will allow them to talk about the work that they do, but understanding the role that they play when it comes to human rights issue and the role of police when it comes to torture prevention. So since we already have an act in Parliament, we cannot have an act without people understanding what this law is, without people understanding what are the contents of this law, without people understanding the sanctions and the penalties once these rights are being violated. So during the training last week, we went through a series of different topics and series of different sections, from understanding what human rights are, to understanding international practices and principles, to also diving into understanding what is torture. When we talk about torture, what are the contents of the act and what is the responsibility of the police, because there has been a lot of misconception when it comes to the role that police play in all of this. So it's also kind of how do we build trust, because trust has been lost during the last 22 years of authoritarian regime, because how the police was used as a tool to actually meet all of these violations. So making them understanding the gravity of this, and it is not the role of the police to punish in any case, and to see how all of these engagements are sustainable in the long run. So this is one of different programs that we'll be conducting in different communities, and we started here in KMC and we targeted the PIU and also the anti-crime unit. So in subsequent, from July going forward, we also plan on going down to the region to train as many police officers as we can, to also strengthen our collaboration. And we also acknowledge the efforts of the IGP in recognizing the importance of this, because without him, we would not have gone ahead to do this. Commending the effort of the Human Rights and Professional Standard Unit for their relentless collaboration and seeing how this activity became a success. So when you talk about the role of the Human Rights and Professional Standard Unit and your personal experience, it's actually true to power. And I'm also going to commend Commissioner Kinte and also Superintendent Musa for their work and their continuous support in the work that they do.
Thank you very much, Mariam, for that brief introduction, which is very, very much commendable, because the transitional justice process is not a process that the government alone has to implement. It's a process that citizens are involved also in. The various departments in government, of course, security apparatus are important. Civil society is also important in this because of their job is to see how they can come in to engage and work with the security apparatus to make sure that, you know, some of the challenges that were there, some of these are legacy challenges. And it will take some time for us to move from there to where we are. But as somebody who has been testing the system, really, when I test it and it's going positive, I have to highlight, you know, there was one person who I know who came and reported and highlighted that their rights were violated. When this person, I directed them to the human rights patient too. Okay, but it took some time, and eventually those officers, they were punished, and even the victim was compensated. You know, and that thing would never happen in the past. You know, so which also touches on what torture. In fact, during the engagement, my reporter was there. We sent a reporter, and they wrote a story. And even the police themselves are the ones that are saying torture is a no-go area. This is what one of the senior police officers was saying during the training organized by WAVE. And when I say WAVE, we're not talking about WAVE money. You know, now everybody, whenever you say WAVE, they're thinking about WAVE money. Just to clarify so that people know that we're talking about Women's Association for Victims and Women Empowerment. So this for me is signaling a shift in law enforcement culture as the Gambia deepens its commitment to accountability and the rule of law. If you go on Askanwi, you can read our report. You can go and see what it's all about. But I will go to Mr. Jawara now because of, you know, we have been mentioning your unit and the very important role which your unit is doing. And of course, we mentioned about the training which has taken place. And would love to hear from you as somebody who is in the middle of all of this, you know, and numerous activities. I've seen, you know, you working very closely with WAVE in the past, not just on this particular issue. Perhaps this opportunity for you to tell us how you think this training is going to benefit the officers, you know, what you think are some of the outcomes, and even perhaps some of the challenges that, you know, you feel that you can talk about for us to see, you know, how to upsell them, these challenges together. Mr. Kamara.
Thank you very much once again. Thanks to Women Association for Women and Victims.
For Victims and Women Empowerment, yes.
WAVE,
yes,
not
WAVE.
WAVE money, but WAVE Civil Society Organization. For footing this bill. Without them, it was going to be difficult, maybe impossible. But thank God, first of all, it was meant to popularize that there is an act that criminalizes, that prohibits acts of torture. So once an act is in place, the enforcers need to be aware. We realize that the act came into effect in 2023. Well, along the line, there are few officers, some officers, many officers, who are not aware that this law is in place. So number one, it was very important that it was made known to them. And we were able to dilate more into the act, such that previously, torture is attributed only to law enforcement officers. But as per the act, it can be committed by anybody, civilians as well. So if a victim, severe pain, either mental or physical, is being inflicted on a person, regardless of by official, law enforcement officers, or private individuals, if it was made purposely to extract information or confession from that person, or if it was meant to punish the victim or to intimidate or coerce him to do something that he or she ordinarily would not have done. So in a nutshell, this can amount to torture. And then we made this known to our officers that we trained, about 80 of them, so that if police do, it's a crime under Section 5. If private individuals also do, it's a crime under Section 5. So they now gain the knowledge. Of course, 80 out of 1,000, it means there is a lot to be covered.
Yes.
But as Mariam rightly stated, we are hopeful that in the next, hopefully, few weeks or months, we will go into the hinterland, into the provinces, to train more officers, PIU, anti-crime, and general duty officers. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's very important, and I think they are starting in the right place. Because of PIU, anti-crime, they always interact with the public when things are happening. We have our senior officer here, Mr. Kinte. Also, Mr. Kinte, it's a pleasure to have you here with us. You heard what your Mr. Camara is saying, Officer Camara is saying. You heard what WAVE are saying. And of course, this is a new law, 2023. Sensitization needs to take place. Sure. How is this going to, and you had him, 80? Yes, but there are 80 officers who have been trained. Now, of course, if I don't expect anything wrong from those 80 officers, but then jumping from what he said, what's going to be the plan? Is it going to continue? Is WAVE going to continue working with you so that you can help to sensitize the rest of the officers or step down training? How is it going to work? I don't know whether it's you, sir. I should give this to Mr. But let me get you first, sir, and your reactions.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, sir.
We must be grateful. And on behalf of the Office of the Inspector General of Police, we say thank you to WAVE, our partners, who are tirelessly working with us. We are grateful and we are really honored to be in partnership with WAVE to make sure that this kind of, I call it awareness creation, is giving prominence. Prominence in the sense that what you quoted, I said it in the opening, session of the 4 days training. Yes. That torture is no more area. Nothing can be used to justify it in our execution of our duties. That being the case, there is a need for we to roll it out. Like my officer commanding Superintendent Camara stated, and re-accord the position of Madam Mariam, that there has to be step down training. We have to get into the hinterland. Yes, 80 is just like a droplet, but we are very appreciative. It's better we start with something than nothing. So we have started with something. That 80 for me is multiplied. If what I task and what I put on them during the training, let them start that very day as agents of change and agents of a way of carrying the message to the bigger population of the enforcement units of any area they are interacting, even be with immigration, be with other services. So if you are 80, you task yourself. Officer Commanding Musa task himself, Mariam task herself, all of us, then we are multiplying.
Indeed.
And that's what we want, because we cannot get to each and every one of them.
It's not possible.
Yes. Not all of them can answer to our call. The nature of our job. We would love to train everybody. We would love to touch each and every personnel in the Gambia Police Force and by extension sister services, but it can't happen. But this is the direction we are taking, and this is the position of the Office of the Inspector General of Police through Human Rights and Professional Standard Unit of the Police Force. You hinted something here. We don't have that idea of retreat, going back. No. Gone those days, you said we have a legacy challenge as a police force.
Yes.
Because of what happened in the past.
Exactly. Yes.
So now for we to really move forward and to enhance and embrace the process, we must be hard and we must be in the forefront of the campaign and awareness creation for our officers, men and women of Gambia Police Force.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You are listening to the voice of Commissioner Kinte. Commissioner Kinte, and we also have ASP Superintendent Kamara. Now I am addressing them using the police language. Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned into a very exclusive program which we have gone through lengths to try to bring to you. Normally, I'm here, it's me with civil society advocates alone and discussing with them. We don't usually have the police with us. Today, we have Gambia Police Force members with us, talking about how torture is a no-go area. It's no longer something that can be entertained. And they are also engaging their police officers. They have trained 80 police officers through the support of WAVE. WAVE is Women's Association for Victims and Women Empowerment, a civil society. Women's Association for Women Victims. You people, you keep changing this. You keep changing it all the time. You keep changing it all the time. You see, that's Mariama, the representative for WAVE. She is trying to explain to us that it's Women's Association for Women and Victims Empowerment. Mariama, I want to challenge you that it's not. That's
please,
not the
you
correct.
can. And
You don't know your name.
It's beautiful.
Definitely, I agree. So we will try to open up the lines in the last 15 minutes because we feel that there is so much for us to talk about, for us to just open up the lines and to just people just calling in. But before we do that, we will continue talking about what next, because even this week, WAVE is also very busy with another very important activity. They are going to have convergence will be enhancing accountability and preventing torture. That one will take place tomorrow. The various stakeholders have been invited. I don't want to say the venue before people start coming to crash there. But on a serious note, every 26th of June is the World Day Against Torture. International Day Against Torture. And to commemorate this, the stakeholders convergence will be taking place because this relates to what we are talking about. We are talking about sensitizing Gambians, security officers, because Gambians also need to be sensitized. That's why we are on the radio, and of course the police officers, they are at the forefront. They have been receiving some training and they will do some step down. So what can you tell us about tomorrow's convergence? And Mariama, will the police be there? What can you tell us about tomorrow?
Okay.
Are our friends going to be there?
We are in a long-term partnership, and it's not a one-off thing. Yes. So with that being said, so tomorrow's activity, like I said, this month is actually recognized, especially the 26th of June, is the International Day in commemoration of in support for victims of torture. So tomorrow, the 26th, we'll be having a national stakeholders dialogue. And during this stakeholders dialogue, we're going to be unpacking we'll be unpacking so many topics, and we'll be looking at why up cats, because we have the CAT already ratified, which is the Convention Against Torture. And since we already have that ratified, and if we really want to talk about preventive mechanisms, and we want to really talk about the national preventive mechanism of how detention centers were places of deprivation of liberty and dignity, how do we really have standardized, because you cannot talk about prevention of torture if our detention system are not up to standard, if we don't have conducive environment where torture can be prevented. So we are going to be looking, because last year during the National Stakeholders Dialogue, we actually put out a position paper on the importance of the ratification of the optional protocol. So for this year, we're going to be having key stakeholders from the National Human Rights Committee, from the National Assembly, the National Human Rights Commission. We'll be having the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Justice, to really unpack all of this, because these are actually international instruments that are really, really important when it comes to preventive mechanisms for torture. And we're also going to be having different other panels from our partners in Nigeria, our partners in Senegal, who has actually ratified the optional protocol to share best experiences and lessons. And we're also going to be having a panel on the role of victims and what are the expectations for victims when it comes to the TJ process, and how can they be supported in terms of restoring dignity and their perspectives to that. So we're having series of different engagement and bringing together different stakeholders from civil society, government institutions, international partners, and embassy to really see how we can work collaboratively to put an end to torture. So we cannot really talk about eradication without preventive mechanism, and this is actually this first step towards that. So this is actually a week-long activity, because on Sunday we would also be having what we call a wellness day and cultural day, which is celebrating human rights through art and culture. And we're having a walk for health, and I hope the members of the public will be able to join us for that. And the walk from health is starting from Independence Stadium around the hostel side to traffic lights, and we end back from traffic. Is actually to build solidarity and promote everything when it comes to mental health, physical well-being, understanding the impact of the trauma and the effect that this torture has actually placed on the life of victims, and also see how we can work and support them in solidarity with them. And we'll be having a series of other activities that day. We'll be having medical screening, having sessions for yoga exercises, all geared towards promoting physical and mental well-being. And that will be happening on the 29th, Sunday, at Independence Stadium.
There you have it. Please come and join us for the walk. Let's go on this walk together. Everybody is invited from Independence Stadium. We will be walking all the way to traffic light, and then we will return back to Independence Stadium, where we will round up that activity on Sunday, right? So 7 a.m. in the morning. No lazy business. I know many people want to have a lazy Sunday, but what you can do, come join us and then you have your lazy Sunday. Let's do it that way. So this upcut, you're hearing her talking about upcut. It's not the most there. It's not a card, okay? It's actually the optional protocol to the Convention Against Torture. I'm sure she did highlight it, but just to reiterate it so that our listeners will know that Nekundi Wahmbiri Moose. So now, this is an international treaty designed to prevent torture and other cruel, inhumane, or degrading treatment or punishment. And what is important, it attempts to establish a system of regular visits to places of detention by independent international and national bodies. So you have had what the various stakeholders which he mentioned that will be in this event tomorrow. Now those stakeholders, often what you don't know, what she has not said, is that they go together. Oftentimes they will go together and visit places of detention to ascertain what is the condition of people who are detained, you know. And then, of course, if you look in the news, even on Foroya newspaper, you would see that one of the members is advocating about the detainees in the recent SONA debate. That is Honorable Suwaibu Ture. If you go on Foroya newspaper, on the front page of Foroya newspaper, he's talking about the condition of detainees. Okay, so these are all very, very important. I think I'll bring the police in so that they can also discuss, because they are obviously the main custodians for people when they are in in custody, that is, if they have not taken within police cells, in the police cells, you have the police cell. Police cell is not a prison there.
So it's clear.
Yes, so people need to understand. Police cell is not prison. Prison is there. Mile 2, Janjanbure, they are there. And they have in prison, there is the Gambia Police Service. They are the ones who are in charge of the prisons, not the police. So it's important, even though people are held in cells, they are detained in cells, people are also detained in prisons. I just want people to know very well what we are talking about and to be specific to the point. So let's talk about the cells. What are some of the challenges, or how can the current situation improve? I know security sector reform is clearly part of this, and I've seen GIZ, you have been working with them to create even model police stations, you understand? Maybe, I don't know what is the plan going forward with those model police stations, which hopefully, I don't know whether there are plans to bring this in other. There have been some improvements. People are seeing some of the new police stations, which obviously will mean better environment for detainees when they are detained. What can you please, tell us something, sir? Yes.
Thank you very much. Actually, most of our police stations are not human rights friendly. That I mean, when it comes to holding cells for women separate from male and also children. In other words, there should be 3 different cells so that you can have each of the different categories in. But unfortunately, most of our police stations are not. We've inherited that, I think, from the colonial time.
Yeah.
But now, most of the police stations that have been built, particularly thanks to GIZ and other donors, I understand there are some other police stations that I'm not able to remember. But GIZ I can remember. They are human rights friendly. UNDP, I remember, contributed in the one at Essel. So they are fine ones, model ones, so that human rights aspects of detention are catered for. And the other thing I remember from what you have shared, regular visits. Already the new criminal procedure bill, the new criminal procedure act that has just been
passed,
effected, yes, has provided that magistrates shall have the right within every 1 month to make visits to police stations.
This is
so
Taxi
usually
FM.
police are always, our doors are open. As far as there is a law that provides for certain institutions to do whatever, and once we are aware, we always open our doors. And even before that, my unit has been tasked to ensure that we do regular visits without notification to police station. We just bomb in and then check. So that has been done. But if this new, as far as this new act is also concerned, magistrates are welcome. They can come in and check our facilities. At the end of the day, promotion of human rights is for everyone. Today we are in uniform, in charge of cells. We decide what happens. We decide who comes in and comes out. The law is there. The law says do it this way. Tomorrow we may not be in uniform. So whatever we do to people, we will want the same to be done for us when we are not. So police are always open, and then we will ensure that we improve so that human rights.
Oh, you make me feel so safe, Mr. Kamara. I wish all the police officers are like you. I will not lie to you that even on my mobile phone, there was one young man, even just because you know me, I'm a human rights, people recognize me as a human rights defender. Just this week, somebody was complaining, calling me, telling me that the police he had an interaction with police. They just met him, he was outside his compound. Police officer came. That guy, I think that story was another day. I know that if it was you who was there, that would not happen. So now, how come, Mr. Kente, thank you so much also. Yes, please go ahead. Yes.
We always always encourage, and this is an opportunity for me, that wherever police misconduct themselves, whenever, be it a human rights violation, and if it does not reach the threshold of a human rights violation, it might still be a misconduct. So people should feel free to walk into my office and report those kind of violations.
In police headquarters in Banjul, that's his place.
Yes, police headquarters in Banjul. If you are in the regions, we have a representative in Basi. You can always walk to a representative in Basi. We have a representative in CRR as well, that is in Janjambure. And we have one in Mansakong. Virtually, we covered all the regions to make sure that human rights violations are investigated and where necessary,
This is
punitive action.
Taxi FM.
In a worst case scenario, criminal proceedings can also take place. So people should feel free. And the Act has in fact made mention of that. That it is a duty upon everyone, Section 21 of the Prevention and Prohibition of Torture Act 2023. That when you suspect reasonably that torture has taken place, it is a duty upon you to report to the police.
Yeah.
So my office is open. I am supervised by Commissioner Kinte, you know.
Yes, and Commissioner Kinte is here. His boss is here, and he has also pledged. Talk to the police. I know the contact I can give because I have been with him, and he has mentioned that the police PRO, Musa Sisao, he is very, very open. I engage with him, and we've been on different engagements, and I know he has said that you can contact him. I don't want to give other officers their telephone numbers, but you can always go to the police headquarters, or especially for those in the greater Banjul. And like he said, in the regions they are there. You can always contact the police PRO. I'm sure he's...
We have an officer line that, I will task my officer commanding Kamara to relay it on air.
Perfect. Very
That's
good.
an official line, given to us
Okay.
by the office of the IG.
Taxi FM.
Perfect. I will leave that for us to get the official line.
Yes,
I don't need to mention any other telephone number here. I don't like to
Yeah,
do
but
that.
people can also relay information to PRO.
Definitely. PRO, he is always very open. And the public.
Because you can relay the
Yes. I have his number. It's 380-8535. 380-8535. If you have any human rights violation, torture, or if a misconduct, contact police PRO Musa Sisao. He will put you in line with the right unit. And then me, when I get the contact from Commissioner Kinte, when my programs are going, I will announce it free of charge for the police. I'm going to do my own part as well for the police, and then make sure that they are engaged. So we will come to Mr. Kinte. Before we have very little time, we want to open up the lines. Mr. Kinte, you might have something that you would want to add, because it's all about this upcut. We know the legacy. We have had some of the challenges. There are efforts to create model police stations to hopefully address this. And then there are other issues, because some of it is behavioral. It's not just infrastructure, but behavioral, which is part of the training that you guys are doing. What's the way forward, sir, Commissioner Kinte, hearing what he has said, and then our legacy? How do you see us getting to the stage where all police stations are at a reasonable level, and then all police officers are at least trained to this level? How can we get there? Please help us, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Taylor, once again. Like my colleague, Officer Commanding, and our partner from WAVE, Madam Maria. First, we roll it out into the interland. Then we challenge people, officers there, to become, a surplus in the way of agents of change and, information dissemination. Fine, we all challenge ourselves. This is why we, we deem it necessary for we to be here on air, which we are grateful, and we solicit more of these opportunities for we to talk to the public, and for we to get the feedback from the public also when time permits. And this also necessitated for the expansion of human rights and remarked by my officer commandant Superintendent Kamara. We have liaison officers, we call them URR. Even URR today, there was a signal we got from URR by our liaison officer, which he has already relayed to the regional commissioner of URR. So they are looking into the matter. Yes, and not long ago, even the URR commissioner's office referred a case to Dr. Banjul, and we have looked into the matter. There is no scare cow when it comes to our operation. Yes. There is no, we will respect you, but this is it. So, like Officer Commanding Kamara stated, torture, if you reasonably believe it is happening, you even fail to report it. You are complicit. You are. So that also has given us a burden on command responsibility. And command responsibility differ. For instance, we have an operation in Brusubi Phase 2 about a section of 8-10 personnel sent there. Of course, they must have a senior man.
Of course.
And we reasonably believe and endorse that he is the officer commanding at that particular point in time to execute that particular operation.
Operation, exactly.
On behalf of the office of the IGP.
Exactly.
So we expect him or her to conduct himself or herself within the parameters of law, meaning whatever he or she will do there must be executed lawfully. Any act contrary, like officer commanding stated, can tantamount to professional misconduct.
Indeed.
At the highest level may escalate to alleged human rights violations. And once we have a red flag is raised, we won't hesitate to investigate. And when we investigate, Human Rights and Professional Standard Unit of the police, we report to the office of the IGP directly. So quite a number of personnel has faced us. Even by extension, harassment at workplace. Let me be precise. For instance, one of the female officers felt being harassed in due execution of her duty or for one reason or another. She can face us. Let her be bold enough and face my office and my officers. We will look into the matter. The office of IGP has given that powers. This unit has been expanded. It used to be complaint and discipline. Am I right? Complaint and discipline. The human rights component is now included. So that we will not be found wanting, or the office of the IGP will not be found flat-footed, or somehow being, found to be negligence on matters that could have been handled professionally and perpetrators be dealt accordingly. Yes, and by worst case scenario, as alluded by Officer Commanding Kamara, we will prosecute you. We'll prosecute you.
Yes, that's the worst case.
The criminal component of it, once outweighed, we will prosecute you.
Indeed.
And quite a number has even been dismissed. We have seen it.
Yes, I've seen it.
When IGP Turek came into the office, there was an issue in URR that really brought sort of serious, shame and embarrassment to the police force. So they were dismissed.
Yes.
Yes. People will come to us and complain that money has been extorted from me by officers. We will not accept it, and we should not accept it. Like you stated earlier, we have a legacy challenge. So we are ready to really do the needful accordingly.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I can even remember there was one case of a young lady who was going to the beach or something like that, and then she was harassed by some security officer, and the police, they acted very swiftly. I think that gentleman is no longer in the police force.
No, he's no serving, and we must commend Brusubi Station for that and TSU.
But if people are not reporting, if we are on the radio, we are telling you, and you are saying, hey, nothing will come out of it. If I
really blame them, like he said,
it's
it's actually a legacy issue. So it's not something, it's because of fear.
Yeah.
So that fear is actually what breaks the silence.
Yeah, exactly.
Because in the past, they've had encounters where they've reported to stations, nothing came out of it. In essence, some of them were even blamed for what happened. So them not coming forward is going to take time. And that's why rebuilding trust, it's a process. It's not a one-off thing where today if trust is broken, the next day you can patch it. Like when you have a broken plate, it can't come back to the way it is, no matter how you stitch it. But you can try.
Indeed.
You can bring it piece by piece. And that is that phase where we are. And that is why we call it a transitional justice process. It's not a one-off thing where it can just happen in a day and we get it done with. It's a process and it's going to take years. But with continuous effort and the dedication of the Gambian Police Force, I know we are going to get there. And we have to see how we can build civilian trust with the police and see how, because with new cases of such where cases are reported, that is actually encouraging. Because if you see something is coming out of it, you would have the confidence a little bit to go report.
Exactly.
So if we keep up with that pace, then we can be able to get to where we want to get to.
There you have it. I think now nobody should be wary to report issues of violations, human rights violations. Even when citizens do it, you report to the police. When the police do it, you can go to the human rights unit. Yeah, if you are in the Greater Banjul, you can go there. I've highlighted this number, 380-8535. This is the number of to listen, and he will not address your problem immediately if it is not his responsibility, but what he will do, he will put you in touch with the right people. And I have tested it. If you don't trust the civil society advocate or the police because they are here, you can trust me. I have reported somebody to this human rights unit and actions were taken. Officers were disciplined. The victim was compensated. This would never ever happen in the past. All right? So we don't have so much time, and in fact, I don't think we can even open the line because you want us to open the line?
I think so.
Yeah?
We would have.
Okay. Whether these people have brought the mobile phone. Please, let's get this. The number to dial is 7555-777. 7555-777. I'm in 5 minutes. The Taxi FM, you may in 5 minutes. Should they possible now? 7555777 moy number bi mun ngeen call ngeen waxtaan ak police ñu fi. You might have a question for the police. You can ask them, they can try and answer. You might have a question for WAVE, they can also answer. And then me, I'm here. If you have a question, I will try to answer your question. Let's try to see how we are going to connect you guys, bring you onto the program. 7555-777. 7555-777. That's the number to dial. We don't have a lot of time, so you people don't have a lot of time, too much time to be able to contribute. Just call. You can go on if you want to say something, please.
You know, coming out of the past regime, 22 years, 23 years of dictatorship, we must acknowledge that, of course, the police, sometimes the police officers are themselves victims. And also there is that misconception around. Thank God at the beginning of the program, somebody mentioned that the police institution is not meant to punish. And that's true. So our officers with the continuous training will get to understand that our function is not to discipline or to punish people. Instead, our job is law enforcement.
Exactly.
So when a crime is committed, do what the law asks you to do. Arrest, process the file, and take to court.
Exactly.
If there is need to use force, use reasonable force. But because the person acted rudely, and you start to beat him, thinking that it's your right, or it's okay as a police officer to discipline, that's not okay. We are saying no to that any longer. So
this is
respect for the law is very important.
Very, very important.
And to just add a little to what Musa has said, is more of also, I mean, because sometimes in execution of duties, there are personal biases and personal instincts that comes in. So to see how we really manage this, because the law is saying one thing, and whatever you're doing has to be in accordance to the law, and not what you think personally or what your opinion thinks, because at that point your opinion does not matter. What matters is what the law is saying and what is your duty as at that particular time to enforce what the law is saying, and not your own personal biases.
Indeed. 755 777 755 777 7555 777. And I am Google and police. Police in your feed for waxtaan ak yéen.
And we are open.
And they are very open. Yaa ngi dégg guy.
Regarding the act, because as we said, I think we can go on.
Yes, if the call comes, please go ahead.
As we said, this act, the Prevention and Prohibition of Torture Act, the crime there can be committed by even civilians.
We are getting a phone call. Hello? Oh, sorry, we lost that caller. Go ahead, sorry.
So, for example,
Taxi FM.
When the community come out, sache, and the sache or the thief is caught.
Yes.
What the law envisages is arrest the person, because private arrest is possible.
Yes.
Citizen can arrest.
Citizen arrest.
Arrest the person and then quickly take him to the police station. To the nearest police station.
Yes.
But you must not lay hands on him. I mean, you must not beat him. If you beat him, as we always see on TikTok and on Facebook, it can amount to torture. So it's not only the police that we are sensitizing, but the community also to understand that it's not for them to punish when a crime is committed, but take the person to the police, from the police to the court, and then when the court impose punishment, whether they take him for hard labor in Janjambure or Jahali Pachar rice field, that will be okay, and that will be the punishment.
Very important. Bulen dem di door sacha kati. Sacha kat su defé lu wrong o nga japp ko muy sacha. Yow mom lo mëna def su dé mu ngi ñew ak ganay nak. Police, what do they do now? Because sometimes the fear for some people now, the thief has come and they are having a big something, a weapon or something, and you now,
this is
what do you?
Taxi FM.
What are citizens supposed to do in that situation?
Yes, thank you. The law always provides for self-defense. Because you don't have to wait for somebody to kill you, then you react. Because once you are killed, you already
you are gone.
So self-defense is always accepted. But there is a need for care here. Because proportionality matters. When a thief is armed with, for example, a stick, or is not armed at all, and you pick up a cutlass and cut off his, cannot be.
Oh my God. Sorry.
Or you pick up a gun and shoot him to death.
That's Sharia law. You cut the hand off.
So generally, self-defense is accepted. If your life is at risk, we expect you to react so that you save your own life. But that must be done also in line with the law, and the law says proportionality. So I think that.
Yes, that answers the question, because it's the same thing that you talked about the police officers. Even when police officers, just to be fair, the law is very fair. The law is fair on police officers. The law is fair on citizens. Police officers, like you said, should, when they must use force, should do so reasonably, within reason. You too, if somebody come and they have a weapon or whatever, and perhaps you have to defend yourself, you have to do so within reasonable proportionality. You cannot just kill somebody, for example, and claim self-defense. That's not going to fly.
Because in most of these cases, investigation will ensue at the end of the day. So if the investigation establishes that indeed the killing could be justified based on self-defense, then the person may be free. If it is not justifiable, like I said, a thief jump into somebody's compound unarmed, and you pick up a gun and shoot him to death. Or in most cases, what happened is the thief will usually be caught, as we saw on video on TikTok and all that.
Yes.
He will be caught already restrained, strip him naked. Throwing water, pouring water on him and beating him. That may amount to torture.
That is torture, psychological and physical.
That. Yes.
Yeah. So you see,
it reminds me when I was regional commissioner of what my officer commanding Superintendent Kamara stated. It's just like that scenario. He's alleged of going into the compound.
This is Taxi FM.
Street naked type, beaten, thrown into an old building, sort of a store. In the morning, by the time they open, he collapsed, rushed into hospital, pronounced dead.
Jesus.
And, you know, it's rather a family thing. About 3 brothers are currently undergoing trial since 2021.
This is serious. Yes. So, just avoid.
Proportionality is there. And that proportionality also is telling you that what you are doing, is it legal? And if it is legal, be ready for accountability. And that account. That is it, or security forces, that is it. We must be ready to face that one. Whatever we are doing should be within the context of law.
Indeed.
Yes,
Indeed.
but proportionality, and we must be ready to face accountability.
Of course.
And that reminds me, we are accountable. And this is why even our partners, when they request, like Musa remind me, I think we have about 3 partners working with us who requested certain information. You know?
Good.
You know, that we will supply.
Fantastic.
Ombudsman, National Human Rights Commission, DCAF. So these are oversight bodies.
Bodies, indeed.
That are also having an eye on the police.
Indeed.
All because of
Taxi FM.
transparency, openness, above all, to be accountable police force. And we are.
We have a account. Go on. Yes, please go ahead.
You know, during the training, one of my friends, after the discussions in class, had a chat with me outside, and the friend said, "Why are the parliament targeting us, the police?" He put it so funny. He said, "They hardly give us good budget. Now they are bringing in laws that are meant to lock police officers up, because the fine for 1 million and 15 years imprisonment. If it is done under aggravating circumstances, for example, the person is sexually harassed, or the person is a minor, it can be life imprisonment."
Wow.
So I told him, no, it's not meant to target the police. This is meant to ensure that police do not think about torture at all. And as we said, the act does not say
police
in their official capacity. It says even in your private capacity.
So
that means it is balanced. It is not a witch hunt for the police.
Police alone. It's for all.
To sensitize them.
Thank you very much.
This is why the scenario of somebody being alleged to have stolen something or been a thief.
This is
you have
Taxi
gone to
FM.
that extent of stripping him
Them naked.
beating him, even pour some kerosene or gasoline or petrol burning him. So like what Commander said, that one is aggravated.
It's aggravated and very serious.
If you are found guilty, it can be life.
It can be life. You want to say something, Mariama? You want? Go on.
Let's open the line. I
Yes,
mean, like,
we're
it has
trying
been
to
very,
open the
very
line.
interesting. And I think the point that Commissioner and Superintendent actually raised are very, very important.
Valid, yeah.
And it's actually our collective responsibility. So it's not just about the police, but it's actually in terms of, promoting strong institution and how best we can work together as members of society, as members of community. So torture is a no-go area. We should not even think about it. No one should be targeted and punished for crimes. The crimes, once they are committed, the right channel. Go to the police, report the case, and the police should do what they have to do without punishing, and they go by the law.
We had one phone call, but unfortunately we have not got any, and we actually missed that call. So the time is actually over now. We managed to take an additional 7 minutes. Thanks to Taxi FM, they are very, very helpful to us. giving us even a little bit more time. It's actually 8 minutes now, that they have given us. So we are going to wrap up the program right now with the last words. For those of you who are listening, you are tuned into Taxi FM, and I'm your host, Yusuf Taylor, alias Flexdan, here bringing you the Straight Talk Show. In the studio with me today is WAVE, Women's Association for Women and Victims Empowerment. WAVE, not WAVE Money. This is WAVE, the civil society organization. And the representative here, Mariam Cisse, Mariam without the A, Cisse. And then, of course, on the police, our rare guest. You people today, man sudan man nekon kola. Na call besona. Na call police. Yan finger ne neka bul ken call fini di ma complaint si police de. Aha. Police ñew neen indil na len police pour ngeen wax ak ñom ba paré ngeen baña call guy pour wax ak ñom. We have Mr. Commissioner Kinte here with us, and ASP Superintendent Kamara. I have to give you a full title. So I'll just let you guys give your last words very quickly so that we wrap up. We have just 1 minute to finish, but please go ahead quickly. Your last words, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Of course, to
Taxi
the
FM.
Inspector General of Police for allowing us to come here and then share with you.
Indeed.
Thank you to our listeners as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Commissioner Kinte.
Short and precise, we appreciate all our partners, WAVE in particular, to be sincere. We're looking forward for more collaboration in similar undertakings. We are also thankful to the office of the IGP and thankful to the management and staff of Taxi FM. We look forward to more collaboration and partnership on behalf of the Office of the Inspector General of Police and on behalf of my team, Human Rights and Professional Standard with the Gambia Police Force. We say big thank you and we look forward to similar programs in subsequent weeks and months.
Yes, I hope we have WAVE. You people, will you be giving us once a month? Let's be having this program. Yeah. Let's be bringing in the police. We have their commitment now. Your last words, please.
Yes, I just want to say thank you to the Office of the IGP and specifically the Human Rights and Professional Standard Unit for their continuous support and collaboration and partnership, and also to our donor Legal Empowerment Fund and the Global Initiative for Human Rights, actually providing us with the resources to be able to do this and continue to use the law, know the law and shape the law in the Gambia. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. And that's all what we have for you today. We want to thank the IGP for sanctioning this program. There are people to come in. We want to thank WAVE for sponsoring this program as well. And their funders, their supporters. And we hope that we can have this program, at least even if it's once a month, where we come, we bring the police, and, we talk with them. We really, really appreciate that. For everybody who is tuned in, you are listening to The Straight Talk. Next week, we will have another exciting program for all our listeners. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.